XRP holders, welcome back to the Crypto ZX channel. Let's talk about everything XRP. Shout out to the XRP army, obviously for showing so much love on the updates. You guys know what to do. Continue supporting, and of course, your boy has you covered on a day-to-day basis. But looking across the board, guys, the first day of the month has started off on a really positive note. I'm sure no one's really complaining. Everything is up right now, which of course is amazing to see. Bitcoin actually broke out this morning. Since our last night update, Bitcoin broke out of that range that it was pretty much stuck in over the course of the last week and a half. And, we're retesting some of the levels we haven't seen since, February. So, of course, a lot of excitement right now. I'm sure no one's really complaining. XRP at $2.22, up 1% in USD, down only about 1.3% in Bitcoin. Comparative market cap approaching the $130 billion in the 24-hour trading volume at about $2.1 billion. But before we get into any further, as always, just a quick disclaimer, anything on this channel is not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence and research when you are investing in crypto. So we're going to start off with this. Crypto market cap reclaims $3 trillion. You have heard that correct. And believe it or not, the leader is Bitcoin right now. As I've stated to you guys before, continuously on my channel, day in, day out, Bitcoin is carrying the momentum right now. If you want to see what's happening, look at the dominance. That is as easy as it is. You're looking at the dominance, showing so much strength. And obviously altcoins are going to have a positive correlation to Bitcoin's move that we're seeing right now, but not that explosive move which we are obviously known of. But you are looking at the dominance increasing, a lot of excitement, within the altcoin market, and I'm sorry, not altcoin market, within the Bitcoin price. I get carried away, when I'm getting very excited, but you guys are looking at, Bitcoin really leading the way. And, with the way things are going, I wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin heads towards an all-time high. We're going to kind of touch a little bit on the price a little later on, but let's talk about this. The Middle East and Africa are among the most exciting regions for enterprise crypto adoption, and Ripple is proud to be leading the way. We're the first blockchain-enabled payment service providers licensed by the Dubai Financial Services Authority, offering solutions from global payments to secure crypto custody. Remember, we talk about real-world use case. We talk about, shifting the way, finance is done. And of course, the old system is outdated. We need something new. And this is where Ripple, payments comes into play. And of course, as digital assets are, being talked about more and more, and, regulation is coming towards, crypto assets. Obviously, demand for these are going to increase, not from just retail, but also institutional clients. And of course, this is where, the custody aspect also comes into play. So I'm very, very excited about this. And this just, again, sheds some light on, what's really happening and, what they're building. They're building outside of North America. It's not just North America. They're building worldwide. And it's nothing new for us on this channel. We know about that. But look at this, the M2 money supply in Bitcoin, global M2 supply against Bitcoin, pretty much has been nailing, this, as we know. We saw global M2 supply increasing quite substantially. And of course, historically speaking, a lot of analysts have, brought this global M2 supply, chart up, and you saw that positive correlation with Bitcoin. And, this time around, Bitcoin is following the trend. Bitcoin is following the trend, which again is very, very interesting here. So is Bitcoin about to head towards all-time high? Looks like it is. Is M2 global supply, an indicator that we need to be paying attention to? Seems like it is, because if you're looking across, the historic chart of, the M2 supply and, Bitcoin, you do see a very, very positive correlation. But, moving forward, Mr. Man says something very interesting. I wanted to share this with you guys, and we're going to touch base on the price. Ripple, already deeply embedded in the regulatory landscape with over 50 US money transmitter licensed and active collaboration on CBDC projects, is scheduled to officially partner with Axelar in May of 2025, which is this month. This partnership is expected to significantly increase XRP's utility across different blockchain networks by using Axelar's advanced cross-chain infrastructure. What this means in simple terms is that XRP won't be limited to just one blockchain environment. It will become more flexible, able to move between ecosystems like Cosmos and Ethereum seamlessly. This time is important because May 2025 sits right in the middle of the wave of regulatory changes, liquidity infrastructure rollouts, and digital ID developments. Deployments. This month marks a critical movement, when compliance, technology, and institutional framework coverage positions XRP to play a central role in the next phase of digital finance. This month is emerging as a liquidity, unlock points. Axelar, Cobalt upgrade, which is again, March to April happened, prep the protocol with lower inflation and more institutional appeal. The Ripple and Axelar partnership in May 2025 marks a convergence of compliance and interoperability, likely syncing with the U.S. Treasury and DOJ policy shifts. April 2025 stablecoin framework coming online. UK, MiCA, US, RWA tokenization pilot scaling in TradeFi, digital ID, and payment systems deployments in Canada, EU, and APAC. Very, very interesting take. But let's take a look at what's happening. So of course, dominance is picking up. You're looking at Bitcoin was able to break out of that 96K range. You guys get to see this for yourself. We were ranging around this level for quite some time, but we broke out, heading up to almost $98,000 BTC. If you're looking at it on an daily time frame, let's actually give it a refresh live here. BTC broke out to this 97.3 range. Obviously, we got stopped out at that. Of course, we have significant amount of resistance around this range, but remember, that resistance that we were facing, that resistance is playing as a level of support for Bitcoin right now. If you're looking at XRP, yes, not explosive moves, into the 23.6. There's no question about that, because of the fact that dominance is so high. People overlook that, but not on our channel. Since yesterday, if you did, somehow, had your buy orders placed into dollar cost averaging $2.12, you did see an increase of about 6%. Obviously no explosive moves, slow but steady increase towards the upside into the 23.6 fib zone. Obviously a level we haven't retested since March 19th. And of course, from April 7th, we're still looking at about almost a 40% increase. So, so far so good, still in the 38.2. Understand the importance of the 38.2. I do believe, we are going to get into that exciting phase, sooner rather than later. Maybe it's Bitcoin that's going to, push towards all-time high first. Dominance, continues to increase with BTC. Then we see dominance pulling down and, altcoins really, preparing to, lift off. And I think, XRP is going to have an amazing time based off of the way it's currently holding. Let me tell you, the way it's currently holding, it's been through so much. It did, even though, we did see a lot of fluctuation over the last 2 months, you did not see the price of XRP dropping below the 0.50 for too long. Maybe a few hours, that's about it. So that tells you the momentum it's holding. And of course, if ETFs get approved, I think that's just a game changer moment. But let's talk about it, one step at a time. I'll keep you guys covered. We'll see you later from Crypto ZX and peace.